Alright guys, so we are with Tyler and Richard and we are growing some mushrooms. So Tyler's gonna talk about how to do this process and what all you need.
Yep, so what we're doing right now is using shiitake plugs. There's a few different ways that you can do mushrooms, but for doing logs like this, either you use plugs or use a spawn that's in a grain medium that you plug in here. The plugs are a little bit easier for someone who's not doing a whole bunch of them, but if you were doing a larger scale, you'd want one of those plugging machines. Now, you can't use any log, so the mushrooms are only going to grow best on certain species. These shiitakes will do pretty good on this sycamore tree. Ideally, if we had oak or maple available, that would be the best, but they're still going to do totally fine on here. So I cut this tree down last weekend. You want a fresh tree, and you want it before it starts budding out and getting really green, because if it's sending all of its energy up into the limbs, and you're not going to have as much in your big pieces like this. This is coming from the base of the tree. Now, we cut sections that are small enough to be manageable. So once you have them, you can pick them up, you can move them around your property. We're drilling holes with a special drill bit, but I think it's just a 3/8 drill bit. This one just has a little stopper on it so you get your proper depth. Once you drill all your holes, you put in your little plugs, and then you play a little game of whack-a-mole. Whoop. Sometimes they pop out, and sometimes you mash them. This is what I get for trying to talk and do the process. And then once you get them all in, you melt some wax. This is from last year. You can see my little dauber lovely stuck in there. I've got new ones. And you put the wax over the holes to seal it and also seal the ends, because there's fungus everywhere out in nature, and you only want the shiitake hyphae to be in this log and maturing. You don't want all the wild type stuff that you might just see out in the forest. So that's why we cap them, to keep those wounds closed, keep the moisture in, and then you wait. They could fruit this fall. If you do something called forcing, which is soaking them in water for 24 hours and then setting them out, they'll fruit about 5 to 7 days later. Or we'll just wait until spring and have a whole bunch of delicious mushrooms. So we're doing shiitakes today. We're also gonna do some oyster mushrooms on a different species of tree and just have a little mushroom party.
Awesome, and when we start waxing, I will turn the camera on and show you guys that too.
I have one of these. Okay, so we've drilled several logs, we have our plugs in, and what we're gonna do now is cap them with the wax. So this is a food grade wax. Now, well, the label has fallen off of it, but it's the same type of wax that you would actually see for cheese making, that they would coat a cheese with. So food grade wax, we have it melted down here. Some people use a crock pot, which would be a lot easier to keep it. So I just turn on the heat from the stove, get it melted. Use a pan that you don't love. I got this one from Goodwill because it's pretty much wrecked at this point. It's impossible to clean it out. You got these little daubers. So just gonna get the wax and seal all the holes. And then also, if you see any wounds on the tree, like maybe there's a cut right here, any little spots where the native wild fungus can get in, you want to cover. And they also cover the ends as well. And then once you have them all done, we can show a video or more of this, what they look like when they're all done. But you want to stack them up in a shaded area. These type of mushrooms, they grow in shade. So you can either use shade cloth if you don't have a good shaded area, or ideally in a stand of trees. But you don't want to put them directly on the ground, because again, I keep talking about the fungus infecting them. You want to have them raised up, so you can put them on a pallet, put them down on some other logs going, the perpendicular to them, and then just set them on top, and they'll be good to go. Now, the only thing you really need to worry about, if it gets super dry, you don't want them drying out completely. The wax helps with that, but if in the summer, if you've got a nice big dry spell, water them. Do not use chlorinated water, but you can take your tap water, have it sit out for 24, 48 hours. All that chlorine will volatilize and come out of it, and then it'll be good to put it in a watering can and make sure that they stay nice and moist on the inside, so it's a great environment for mushrooms to grow.
Awesome.
All right, so you see that we've done a big giant pile of logs here. So this area is not shaded, so this isn't where you'd actually want to put them. But to show you how to stack them, just get something like some other logs and you can just pile them up, essentially like they're piled up right here. And this is going to be good for while they're aging for their first year. And then after they've matured, you're going to want to actually set them upright this way. Because if these plugs are facing down, the mushroom wants to grow out and up so that they're not going to erupt while there. So you can lean them against a wall. Some people kind of lean them against each other. You can also make kind of a log house and then rotate them through to be able to easily access them, because if they're all piled like this over here, they're touching each other, so you want good airflow once they're fully matured. But you can just stack them up on logs like this to age, and then after they're ready and mature, you can either do the TP method, do the log house, but get some good airflow in there, and that's it.
Awesome.